pleasure to turn it over to Ryan Dudgeon. Ryan, please go ahead.
Hi, this is Ryan Dudgeon with HP Autonomy. I would like to quickly walk you through the agenda before we get started with today's content. First, we will outline the benefits of the HP Technology Enhancement Program for customers in the process of migrating to HP Idle 10. Second, we'll share what's new with HP Idle 10 from a product and technical perspective. Third, we'll share with you some customer migration success stories, how you can migrate, and how you can reach out for extra professional services when needed. Next slide. The HP Technology Enhancement Program can help you smoothly migrate from Autonomy Idle 5 or 7 to HP Idle 10. What you need to know about this program is there's actually two large advantages to migrating to HP Idle 10. First are the technology benefits of HP Idle 10, which we're going to share a little later today. Second, there are some very large contractual and license structure benefits, both which can help you from a performance perspective and also minimizing administration and audit compliant issues. Customers who migrate before their 2014 maintenance renewal date will receive lower cost options and receive more benefits. This is because we've 100% basis on a program called the HP Technology Enhancement Program, which brings these benefits to you. We also have a dedicated HP migration team that is available to help you scope, plan, and deliver the migration if needed. Next slide. As I mentioned earlier, customers can receive both technology and contractual benefits when participating in the program. I want to now share with you a few examples. On the left is a quote from Sky Media. Sky Media achieved over a 50% improvement in time savings given the HP Idle 10 technology platform improvements. Another example on the right is a large global bank, which had received over 80% improvement in their performance. This was due to both technology and the contractual benefits when moving to HP Idle 10. Let me explain that to you. When this large bank moved to HP Idle 10, their former license contained a lot of restrictions. One of these restrictions were limited to 1 or 2 servers in particular. When this customer moved to HP Idle 10, we were able to provide this customer unlimited servers, which dramatically increased their performance. Next slide. Before we dive into the technical component of this webcast, I'd like to make you aware of a few resources available to you. These are accessible via web, email, and telephone support to help you get started with this migration. Additionally, at the end of this webcast, we'll provide contact information for each of the guest speakers and presenters. Next slide. I'd like to now hand it over to Shane Connelly, Senior Product Manager, to share with you what's new with HP Idle 10.
Thanks, Ryan. I wanted to go ahead and get started as to what Idle 10 is, what HP Idle 10 is. And it really comes down to a lot more than just the technology stack, which we've improved significantly, but also to the sort of approach that we're taking within the HP greater software schema. That is to say that it's not just about these particular technology pieces, which I'll go over in a second, but also the way that we're approaching the development. We've switched over to a proper agile development cycle. You'll see generally around quarterly releases of the Idle platform. We have a new strong product management methodology to back this. We are using that strong product management methodology to pull in customer requests, to pull in feature analysis, and as well as to pull in the broader HP community. So we've really had a great uptick in our ability to use HP Labs, for example, which has provided us with a huge wealth of knowledge and resources as we've gone through this past year. Next slide, please. To that end, we've seen HP really pick up the Autonomy Idle platform as a platform for use within the broader HP community. It's been an incredibly strong and beneficial use for us within the Idle development team. It's really been a great experience here working with the HP group to make sure that we're gaining everything that we can out of the HP broader spectrum and vice versa. HP has made a strong strategic investment within the idle platform, and as I mentioned in the previous slide, we're gaining not only the benefits of things like HP Labs performance, but also some of the other things like HP's gaining out of us, and they're fully invested in us as a platform, which has been a great experience, like I said, from our development community. Next slide, please. So getting into feature specifics, we started off this last year with really focusing on a lot of administration and manageability aspects of idle, and really rounding out the robustness across the board. So we've released new idle admin dashboard as part of the idle 10 feature set, which really, you see the screenshots of that product here. It really allows an administrator to take a look at what's going on with their idle setup, what sort of problems they might be having, what sort of performance issues, and so on, and really narrow it down into that fine-grained problem and quickly adjust to resolve. You see sort of the graphs that go along that map things like the memory utilization, CPU, and so on. And this is really a powerful tool that we've introduced within idle 10 for administration capabilities. We're also really trying to get sort of the full aspects of the idle platform out to everybody with these additional documentations that's like idle insight, which push out sort of the expertise of all of the professional services within our idle team out to our customers, and really sort of open up an encyclopedia, if you will, of the idle platform out to our customers. Next slide, please. Within the back end of idle, it's not just about the front-end experience, but also some of the significant back-end improvements to the idle platform that we've made over the last year or so to really round out the robustness and make things really simple for our customers. So we've added a number of new sort of self-diagnosis of the indices, and intelligent recovery in terms of failures that may be happening, and really intelligent fortified document index processing pipeline that takes the document through from the connectors all the way to the index pipeline and make sure that it's tracking things throughout. And not only tracking things throughout, but actually pushing things out to a really intelligent processing pipeline that allows you to figure out if something has gone wrong and quickly go through and adjust to repair. So this is going to do everything like flagging files that are sort of garbage files, if you will, all the way through to pushing things that are those garbage files into a separate content engine, allowing those to be reviewed at a later time for full analysis. We also introduced a whole slew of new backup and restore options, some new compression options, and so on, that really are going to allow you to administer your index in the most robust fashion. Next slide, please. And finally, we've really been looking at this last year at really rounding out a lot of the new capabilities of idle that our customers have been asking for. When I was sort of referring to a lot of the customer requests, we've taken those requests for feedback and new features, and we've integrated them directly into the idle platform as they've come up. So we've got some really powerful new feature functionality that's available in idle 10, which we could have dreamed of in the idle 7 platform. We've opened up the audio and image analysis functions so that they're directly accessible within the document processing pipeline, so that you can process things like your scanned contracts that haven't already been OCR'd, as well as things like processing your digital media files, your marketing videos, and your telephony data, for example, from your unified communication systems directly in through the idle system. We've opened up personalized user-based search results so that you can actually focus your searches as you are a user on the things that are most relevant to you. And likewise, from a marketing perspective, if you're out there trying to adjust the results and create promotional biases towards what your users are most interested in, we've opened up that personalized experience from a promotional perspective as well, so you can open up focusing your directed promotions as well in that fashion. And finally, sort of you see on these last two that we're really focused a lot on the developer activities with integration of idle. So we've opened up some new in-document structured analytics, which really focus on processing documents and really getting the most out of the analytics aspects within by allowing arbitrary map functions and so on to be run across the documents. Open up asynchronous query support. We've reduce the index size by up to 40% with some of the index compression options and so on. And this is really just a small slice of the hundreds, if not thousands, of improvements that we've made over the last year inside the IDLE 10 platform. So really focusing quite a bit and doubling down our efforts courtesy of truly a great HP push in our direction, which has been fantastic. Next slide, please. So just to give you a brief hint at some of the things that we're looking at in the future direction of IDLE, and again, sort of we've opened up the traditional HP product pipeline of completely transparent roadmaps and so on to our customers, but we're really focusing on, again, continuing down that route of robustness. You can never have a robust enough engine, until everything is completely perfect, and we're really focusing a lot of that in terms of administration capabilities and so on. We're focusing on a lot of the core strengths of the IDLE platform and really rounding out the capabilities at the engine level. New distribution options, and HP is also really focused on mobility and big data analytics. So our play within both of those spaces is going to be huge. Everything from our Hadoop plays recently to the integration with Vertica and so on. It's really, again, we're getting a broader push from HP to really make sure we've created the best in class platform for an analytics platform. So with that said, that covers some of the improvements that have been made inside the IDLE 10 platform, though certainly not all of them. Next slide, please. And I would like to turn it over to Jose Colon, who is the director of our Professional Services Organization. So Jose, do you want to take over?
Thanks, Shane. My name is Jose Colon, and I am Director of Professional Services for HP Autonomy. And I'm here to talk to you about how our professional services organization can perform very much like the lighthouse you're seeing in the graphic here, helping you navigate unfamiliar waters toward a safe and expeditious landing. We offer a multitude of services, not only IDLE 10 migrations, and our portfolio is aligned with the needs of our customers for new system development as well as migrations and augmentations of existing systems. So we'll talk through a couple of things today. I'll cover the expanse of our services very briefly, but then I'll get into some of the particular details of the process of the IDLE 10 migration as facilitated by professional services, the value proposition for that, and the experience of some of our customers in that process that we've already got well documented. Next slide. As I mentioned, we offer a multitude of services to make sure that our customers are successful with our technology. With IDLE 10, we're prepared to effect these migrations as related to this program from IDLE 5 and IDLE 7 platforms, but we also have other programs to assist K2 customers and customers on other search platforms to be able to migrate to IDLE 10. We offer a couple of different flavors of services to facilitate that process, and in all cases, we work with our customers to make sure that there's a roadmap outlining exactly the process and the expected outcomes for that migration. We do also offer engagement services to assist your teams as a partner or to take over full responsibility for the migration as a process. And we can do that in the context of piloting the migration in a quick start or doing a production rollout for you, again, collaborating with your teams or taking on the responsibility soup to nuts independently. Next slide. A key differentiator for our team in professional services is that we provide a global advantage. Many of our customers are enterprise customers that have installations of our technology all around the world. We also have a professional services team that is geographically present throughout the world. And we add value in being able to address very large or very small migrations to IDLE 10, irrelevant of the geography or geographies that are involved. But beyond that, we also have very close ties into the R&D organization, and we work very closely, for example, with Shane Connelly in product management, also with technical support and other resources, the pre-sales team that may have been involved in discussing the potential migration with you in that process. So nothing's lost in the conversation, and we're part of the process all the way through. Because of these advantages, we do believe that we're the best in the world to guide you through this process. Next slide. So what does a migration process to IDLE 10 look like? We have a 5-point high-touch process that involves our customers at every step of the way, and we believe that this methodology, having been proven with a number of customers worldwide, is the best one to apply in each individual case. Next slide. So in the design and architecture phase, we make sure that we're uncovering every aspect of the augmentation of your existing system with new functionality or a straight migration of like-for-like functionality, whatever your choice has been in the licensing process that Ryan described earlier. And we will align the priorities for you of the migration process and make sure that the result is going to be giving you the full advantage of all of the improvements that Shane talked about in the previous segment, and make sure that you know how to use those as effectively as possible. We'll document all of that. If we stop there, then that constitutes the roadmap phase of the delivery model that we have. We can deliver this in either a waterfall and or an agile methodology approach, depending on the culture of the customer environment that we're working in and the needs of the migration with respect to application or applications that depend on this infrastructure. The next step in the process will be to install IDLE 10 and leverage existing or new platform elements, that is to say server environments, depending on the approach that we decide to take, and I'll come on to that in just a moment. But we'll have to index all this data from the existing environment into the new environment, and there are a couple of different approaches that we might take there as well. One approach is to go back to the original repositories and index that data from inception, and that might be a good thing to do if you intend to take advantage of one of the features that I'm not sure Shane mentioned, which is end-to-end document tracking, where throughout the entire process, we can track the touch points of a document through every component that manages its workflow into the IDLE indexes. Or we can migrate the data directly from an already indexed set by exporting the IDX or XML files and indexing those into the new instances of the IDLE platform. That's also true for all the other elements that we might migrate, including agents and profiles and categories. Finally, we'll have developed a quality assurance test to validate that everything that we've migrated is thoroughly completed, and we'll work with you to develop the use cases to make sure that that's the case. And in the end, the handoff process will allow for our tech support organization to better support you, having produced some documentation of what the installation specifications are, and also conferring to you best practices and how to take advantage of any new features and new facilities that you have available to you as a result of the migration process. Next. Before we actually show up on site for the engagement, we will go through a checklist to make sure that both of us are fully prepared to start the process. This will save both of us a lot of time, both HP Autonomy Professional Services and our customer, to assure that any necessary elements, in preparation for the migration have already been looked after and are available to everyone to utilize on day one. This is going to result in a much more pleasant experience in the project execution. Next slide. I mentioned before that there are a couple of different models for doing the migration process. One is a migrate in place model, where we would install software on existing systems and then systematically decommission individual components in replacement with the new IDLE 10 equivalent components, and systematically do that until all the components have been replaced. This will sometimes cause some disruption in the service, so this is not an ideal scenario for applications that require 100% uptime, but we do have methodologies to accommodate that scenario, which is the migrate in existing system scenario or the migrate in new system scenario. So in the existing system scenario, we would be installing and migrating the data into components that run on the same servers, but activating the new services in place of the old services systematically with failover components in the distribution modules. That allows us to provide 100% continuity in services without allocating new hardware for the system. And in the third model, we would require new hardware or different hardware to be allocated in order to install, populate, and go live with a new platform in replacement of the old platform that's going to be decommissioned. Next slide. I also mentioned previously that we have a validation step, and that's going to be very important to make sure that we've gotten all the data and all the other necessary assets successfully moved into the IDLE 10 platform. This is going to include a lot of different attributes that I'll go into in just a moment on another slide. But it's absolutely essential that we have a way to verify that everything has been properly moved over and that you're completely satisfied with the migration result. Next slide. And indeed, you can see here that the fastest way to do that is to export it from the existing environment for direct import into the new environment. And I've previously mentioned that this includes categories and agents and profiles, other objects that are already existent in the IDLE 5 and IDLE 7 platform that you have running today. We want to make sure that all of these things are operating cohesively, and the use cases described in the previous slide will help us to validate that. Next slide. The most common question we have from customers that are looking at an IDLE 10 migration is, what do I do about the work that I've done with aggregating data in terms of configuring the fetch layer? These will be now referred to as connectors and the connector framework services, and use a slightly different methodology to aggregate data automatically. Instead of doing data transformations using configuration settings in the fetches called import module settings, we now have Lua scripting available in order to better automate more efficiently and with more customization the data transformation and manipulation process in that layer of the processing. So we do have some work that's product available to help replace some of these import settings already out of the box, and for anything that needs to be customized, our professional services team is at the ready to make that happen. Next slide. So in addition to a migrated system, the other deliverables for this type of project are full documentation of the effort, an installation specification, best practices documentation for administration and operations, and guidance in the best use of deployment for your applications for any new features you might have that you're looking forward to taking advantage of, or some of the new features that Shane covered in the last segment with regard to administration through an admin facility. Of course, the health facilities, as he also mentioned, are vastly improved with IDLE Insight, giving more guidance. So we know that you'll be looking forward to a very positive experience with all the new facilities that administrators will be able to take advantage of in this new environment. Further to that, we also want to make sure that all the upgraded components, you have a plan for how you're going to evolve the use of those components and new features moving forward, so we can help you with a roadmap for that as part of an engagement as an optional item if you select that option. Next slide. A couple of very quick examples. I know that Ryan mentioned a couple of use cases earlier in the presentation, but I just want to touch upon a couple of key ones to communicate some of the core value here, just from a sheer performance and reliability standpoint. There's a major motion film company that's utilizing our technology, had been on IDLE 7 previously, and our team was engaged to migrate them to IDLE 10. It was done very rapidly, even with millions of documents involved, and those documents came from a variety of sources, including Confluence, Google Docs, and file systems. The performance was substantially faster both for query and indexing over IDLE 7, using exactly the same hardware and configuration for storage. There was also a significant reduction in management overhead or administrative overhead because of the facilities of the admin GUI interfaces and things that you can now do right within the component architecture, both for the connectors as well as for the core IDLE engine. Next slide. A leading news indicator based in New York also has had a very positive experience with IDLE 10. They also engaged our professional services to do a replace or a swap-in-place methodology with 100% reliability for their mission-critical application, which serves hundreds of thousands of users publicly worldwide. They have a 10 billion document infrastructure, which is now running 20% faster both for query and for indexing, and that they've realized a much greater value in storage management through the better compression that's available in the IDLE 10 platform also. So there are intangible benefits to migrating, such as more efficient disk storage utilization over and above the increased performance capabilities and operational efficiencies in the infrastructure. Next. So with that, I'll take the liberty of offering to you in conclusion of the presentation here, contact details for our global team to make sure that if you would like to get more information about either the program facets for engagement from a sales perspective, the product enhancements and features that Shane talked about, or the professional services that I've reviewed and some of the methodologies that we employ, we encourage you to reach out to us, and we will be happy to answer any and all questions that you bring to our attention. Thank you very kindly for your time today, and we look forward to hearing from you soon.
All right, thank you, Jose, for all the great information. We do have a couple of questions that came in. First one is, can I use my existing IDLE 7 applications on the new IDLE 10 platform? You want to take that one, Jose?
Sure will. That sounds fine. The good news is that for the most part, all of the API calls that are embedded in IDLE 7 applications that expose functionality to users are supported in IDLE 10, but there are some cases where some features have been deprecated. We will have an opportunity to work with you if you contact us and make sure we call those out to you in the planning process so that you can certainly replace any of those deprecated calls with new supported ones in their place. But for the most part, our experience has been that generally customers can do, a replacement without very much work concerning those deprecated features.
All right, great, thanks. We have another question that came in, and I think this one's for you, Ryan. The question is, how much does it cost to migrate to the HP IDLE 10 platform?
Thank you for the question. That's going to be answered on a customer-by-customer basis, and we would love to hear from you directly. We actually have a migration team that can understand how much assistance you really need. Is it just a straight license transaction, or do you require a license transaction plus professional services? So for that reason, the cost will vary. One thing I will let you know is that with the current HP IDLE 10 licensing structure, we offer a lot of advantages, and we'd be happy to share those with you. And one other thing I'll mention is there is not, from a license pricing and cost structure perspective, there isn't only just one option for you. We can bring to you a few options to help you easily get onto the IDLE 10 platform from HP. The last thing I'll throw out, just so everybody knows, and this is consistent for all customers, is that if you exercise a license transaction to move to HP IDLE 10 before your 2014 maintenance renewal, we do have an option for you where your maintenance will stay the same, so that will not go up. And I want to put a little asterisk beside that because that might be subject to some minimum percentages due to our financial rulings. But for most customers, we do have that option for you. And we would love to discuss more. And again, all pricing has to go through our standard finance and legal reviews, and our sales team would be able to help you very smoothly get a quotation. Thanks a lot.
Okay, thanks, Ryan. We are short on time, so if we did not get to all of your questions, I will send them to our presenters, and they will respond to you via email. I did see a few requests for a copy of the PowerPoint presentation, and unfortunately, we will not be distributing it today. If you missed any of today's session, it will be available in about an hour using the same registration link found in the invitation. I'd like to thank Ryan, Shane, and Jose all for a great presentation today. That concludes our session. Thank you all very much for your time, and have a great day.